Good morning. We're talking about communication. And yesterday we spoke about the value of communication. But what is communication? Communication is the art of explaining yourself and the message you want to give to someone else. I listen to a podcast, as I'm wont to do almost every day, given by a friend of mine, Cal Fussman. And Cal used to write a column for Esquire magazine, and he probably interviewed some of the most influential, consequential people of the 20th century and early 21st century. People like Joe Biden, people like Muhammad Ali, and many, many others. The point is, he's a journalist, and his job is communicating. And when I spoke to him on his podcast, and since, we've been focused on the problems that he perceives in healthcare that have become evident during this pandemic, and how he and I believe that a good deal of those problems result from, as it says in the movie Cool Hand Luke, what we have here is a lack of communication. It's communication. And so he was asking me questions about, how does it happen? Why is there this lack of communication? And I think it goes back to our training. So maybe it goes back to high school. You know, for us to get into college, we had to take SATs, some of you maybe ACTs, and of course we had to take an English portion of that where vocabulary was a significant component, and we had to learn all kinds of big words. So we were taught that it's important to know these big words. And then we go into dental school, and we're taught not just, now we've had the big words, now we're taught a whole new language. And that language is how we now communicate with our colleagues, because it's much more difficult to explain what the mesial occlusal of a tooth is than just say MO. So we'll say we're doing an MO. Means nothing to anybody else outside of dentistry, but to us it's very explanative. So I think that's part of the etiology. That's part of the causation of the problem. And we're taught that the best way to communicate with our patients is via education, but we're really not taught how to do that. How do we make somebody understand? Now, with the advent of intraoral cameras, things have gotten much, much easier, because indeed a picture is worth 1,000 words. But the words are important too. One other thing to consider, and I think it's a really important thing. When people come into your office, their stress level up to here. No one enjoys coming into the dental office, other than hopefully the dentist and the team. But the point is that dentistry is often not it's not Disneyland. It's not Disney World. There aren't lines waiting to get in. The people coming in have a stress level that's very high. Now, what happens when you're stressed? Are you paying attention to what someone else is saying, or are you concerned about what's going to happen to you? Your attention, in other words, is mostly turned inward and is only turned outward to look at stimuli that might impact you, negatively for that matter. So your attention, your hearing, your listening capacity, when your stress level is high, pretty darn low. That's something that people don't think about. And then we've all had the experience of people not, or at least saying they didn't hear something that we said, that they didn't understand it, and we know we said it, and we think we said it effectively. One of the reasons, and this will be the takeaway for today, everything that's important that's said in the office is either put into writing or put into some kind of video format just like this, so that you can be absolutely sure that what's important to convey to the patient has been understood by the person that you want it to be understood by. Everything has to be in writing or in a video format. And that will assure effective communication. Because when someone's lawyers know this, and not to tell you not to do things, but informed consent, meaningless in a court of law. Meaningless. Because when is it done? Right before you're having the surgery, right before you're having that tooth taken out, you're going to tell somebody all these things that they're supposed to remember, and it is written, and they sign it. Well, you signed the consent. Yeah, but when was the consent given? The consent was given immediately before your procedure that you think is going to be painful, and your stress level is way up here. You really, really listening? You really understanding the depth of what you're signing? No way. There's absolutely no way. So my point is, you have to think about the circumstance in which you're trying to communicate as well. Tomorrow, we'll start the process of talking about the actual communication. Have a great day.